Good morning, everyone. Alex here. We did not have an in-person Sunday gathering today. Out of an abundance of caution, we canceled our Sunday gathering for January the 19th. The National Weather Service is calling for 5 to 8 inches of snow beginning at 10 a.m. And while local weather stations were expecting the storm later in the afternoon, I didn't want anybody heading home from church and getting hit in bad weather. And I certainly did not want to add any more anxiety to people's busy, hectic lives. And so I just canceled the service. I'm like, better to take a day and rest and nothing happen than someone be in an accident or slip on some wet snow or ice. And so we'll continue our series on doubt next week, but I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about something that didn't make it into my series on doubt. And when I was researching for this series, it came up a lot, but I couldn't find a good way to fit it in. And so, hey, bonus episode, we can talk a little bit about it. I wanted to talk about how 2/3 of the Psalms are laments. The Psalms in the Old Testament are this collection of poems and songs that people sang to God as part of the Hebrew custom of worship. They are songs about people wrestling with God, a God who is absent or who hasn't answered. And just think about this, 2/3 of the Psalms, 2/3 of them, 1 or 2 out of every 3 Psalms are about doubt. They're about God not showing up, not doing what you expected, not doing what you wanted. Now, I've repeatedly told you in this series that I don't think doubt has to mean the end of your faith. I don't think doubt is a non-starter for faith. A prerequisite to believing is not an absence of all doubt. Doubt is an element of faith. Faith is acting on what we believe despite our doubts. I believe you can doubt and follow Jesus at the same time. And I think the Psalms, the fact that the Psalms are a part of the Holy Scriptures, seems to indicate exactly that God's okay with our doubts, that God expects doubts to be part of this process. So today I just want to read you a couple quick comments as we go through, and then enjoy your day. And tell me as I read this that you haven't felt this at some point. Why, God, this is Psalms 10, why, God, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself when I'm in trouble? In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak. They are caught in the schemes that the wicked man devises. The wicked man boasts about the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and he reviles God. In his pride, the wicked man does not seek God. In all his thoughts, there is not room for God to even come up. His ways always seem prosperous, though. His laws are your laws, God, are completely rejected by him. He sneers at his enemies, though. He doesn't have a care. He says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. He swears no one can ever do me harm. Maybe somebody's coming to your mind right now and you're like, how is that person so against God and they seem to be so blessed? Verse 7. His mouth is full of lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He's just always sowing chaos. He lies in wait near the villages. From ambush, he murders the innocent. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. He's like a lion in cover. He lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off in his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. And he says to himself, God will not notice me. He covers his face and never sees what goes on down here. Now, here's where the psalmist turns and he says, arise, Lord, lift up your hand, O God. Do not forget the helpless. How often do we feel like our God has forgotten us and that doubt creeps in? We're like, where are you? Do you not see what's happening? Verse 13, why does the wicked man revile God? Why does he say himself, he won't hold me to account? No one can hold me to account. But you, God, see the trouble of the afflicted. You consider their grief. You take it in your hands. The victims commit themselves to you. You are the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked, O God. Call the evildoer to account for his wickedness, that you would not, the wickedness that would not otherwise be found out unless God intervened. The Lord God is king forever and ever. All the nations will perish from his hand. You, Lord, hear the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them. You listen to their cry. You defend the fatherless and the oppressed so that mere mortals will never again strike terror. I don't know about you, but I've felt this many times looking at people who are far from God. They're not just far from God, they're evil. Like, they use other people, they exploit other people in order to get short-term gain or money or power, wealth. And it disgusts me, and I'm like, where is God? Where is justice? Like, how are these things happening? And sometimes it feels like God's not seeing. And this psalm is both a cry and a reminder that we can cry out to God and say, where are you? What is happening? Why aren't you doing anything? And that's okay. That's expected. That's part of this process. He wants us to do this. He wants us to be honest in prayer and come to him and say, where are you at? But there's also this nice turn where at the end, the psalmist is like, I know you see, and I know you will bring justice. So I hope that you'll explore the Psalms some this week and look at how often the psalmists struggle with doubt. This is part of the process of being a Christian. This is expected. It's right there in the scriptures. Like, this is part of the journey. Your doubt doesn't mean that you're out. And so take some time this week, read some of these Psalms, wrestle through them. Sometimes as I'm reading a Psalm, just all of a sudden it becomes a prayer of my heart because it's exactly where I am at. And I hope that all of you stay safe and warm with this incoming winter storm, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.